Let's begin by offering our respects to ISKCON founder Acharya, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Padaki
Jai.
Om Agyana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpataru Vyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Please repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Okay, so we welcome all of you to our weekly Bhagavad Gita classes. We have with us today Divya, Auntie Neeta, Dipti Adnani, Vesha Melwani, Gayatri, Hema Bangari, Karuna, Khushbu, Lal and Mehak Melwani. Then we have Ritu Lalwani. My parents are there, Shri Radhe Hari Devidasi, Shivani, and we have Varsha. Okay, so in the previous class, by the mercy of Shri Guru and Shri Krishna, we finished chapter number
13.
No? So, now in chapter 14, 1 second, let me show my screen. Does anybody have any question from the previous class?
No.
Okay.
I have a question. Hare Krishna Sanan.
Hare Krishna, yes, tell me.
I wanted to know, does the same super soul accompany the same soul in every lifetime?
Yes, exactly. It's the same, very same super soul who's accompanying you, who's accompanying the living entity in every body. No, so that's how personal Krishna can get. So it's the same, exactly same super soul who's accompanying the living entity in every body that the living entity. Even when the transmigration is through the ants and the pigs and hogs, dogs, human beings, even the devatas up to Lord Brahma, it's the exact same super soul who's accompanying the living entity. So Krishna is very, very personal with his devotees.
So the soul is also same and the super soul also is same.
Yes,
Both are
exactly.
same. Thank
Yes,
you.
both.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay. So chapter 14 is titled The Three Modes of
The three
Material.
modes of material nature.
Yes, exactly. So what are the three modes of material nature?
Mode of goodness, mode of ignorance, and mode of passion.
Yes, exactly. Mode of goodness, mode of passion, and mode of ignorance. So it is these three modes. We have briefly spoken about these three modes, but now Krishna is going to dedicate an entire chapter to this subject matter. How is it that the modes are controlling the living entities? In the previous chapter, in chapter 13, Krishna talks about what is happening. What is happening? Krishna says how the living entity is coming under the effect of material nature. But how? No. So what is happening is explained in chapter 13. And how it is happening is explained in chapter number 14. How is it that the modes of material nature are able to bring under control the living entities? Because, see, the living entities belong to Krishna's, you tell me now, Krishna belongs to Krishna's what? Superior or inferior nature?
Superior.
Superior.
Superior nature. And material modes, material nature belongs to Krishna's superior or inferior nature?
Inferior.
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 So usually the calculation is that that which is inferior comes under the dominance of that which is superior. No, but here it is vice versa. Although the living entities belong to Krishna's superior energy, they are coming under the control of the modes of material nature. So how are they able to control the living entities? No, that Krishna is going to explain in detail in this particular chapter. So this particular chapter again begins with Krishna speaking on his own without Arjuna wanting to inquire or without Arjuna inquiring about this particular subject matter. So when Krishna explains a subject matter without Arjuna asking a question, obviously it means that he thinks that that subject matter is important. No. So even though Arjuna doesn't ask, Krishna explains. And not only does he explain on his own accord, he is actually dedicating an entire chapter on this particular subject matter. So therefore, this chapter is important. No, the three modes of material nature. But of course, before we begin the chapter, we need to understand what is the benefit of reading, writing, learning, studying, hearing this particular chapter. So according to the Gita Mahatmya, which is a conversation between Lord Shiva and Parvati, in a place called Simhal Dweep, there was a king called Vikram Vetal. So Vikram Vetal went hunting in a forest with his son and two hunting dogs. So in the forest, he released one dog to chase a particular rabbit. When the dog was chasing the rabbit was running and running and running to save its life. And it was running so fast that it looked as if it was actually flying. So as the rabbit ran and ran and ran, ultimately he reached a beautiful hermitage. And this particular hermitage was very, very peaceful. In that particular hermitage, the deer were happily sitting under the shade of the trees. The monkeys were eating fruits from the trees. Baby tigers and baby elephants were playing together, and snakes were crawling over the peacocks. So there was no fear, there was no anxiety. Now, in that particular forest, there was a great sage called Vatsa who lived. And every day he recited the fill in the blanks. Which chapter of the Bhagavad Gita?
Chapter number 14.
Chapter number 14. Thank you. So every day he recited chapter 14 of the Bhagavad Gita. Now, near the ashram of this great sage Vatsa, one day his disciple was washing his own feet. Hmm. And so the earth on that particular spot, it became wet with that water which he used to wash his own feet. And just then that rabbit came there and he slipped in that wet mud. And immediately the rabbit attained a heavenly body. An airplane came, picked him up, and took him to the heavenly planets. The dog also arrived there, searching for that rabbit, and the dog also slipped in that same wet mud. And the dog also attained a heavenly body and was taken to the heavenly planets. Now, seeing all this, the disciple of Vatsa, he started to laugh. At that time, that king Vikram Vetal, he witnessed all that happened, no? And he asked the king. He asked the king a question. What do you think is the question that Vikram Vetal asked to the disciple of Vatsa? What could be the question?
Hare Krishna Mataji, maybe he asked that why the dog and the rabbit were taken.
Yes, exactly. Yes, that is a very natural question to ask, isn't it? So he asked, how was it possible that the dog and the rabbit went off to heaven? So then he replied, in this forest, there is a great sage Vatsa who lives, and every day he chants the 14th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. And because of the chanting, he has completely conquered his senses. And I am his disciple, and I also, by the grace of my Guru, I am also every day daily chanting the 14th chapter. And because they slipped in the mud that was wet with water that I used to wash my feet, they attain heavenly planets. Now the king asks one more question. What do you think is the next question the king asks?
What chapter you are reciting in?
No, that he already said. No, he already said that by the mercy of my Guru, I am every day reciting 14th chapter.
Why are you laughing?
Why are you laughing? Exactly. He wants to know why is he laughing? What is there to laugh? No. So now he asks, okay, why are you laughing? So now he says that he will explain why he was laughing. So he says in Maharashtra, there was a town called Pratudhak, when a Brahmana by the name Keshava lived with his wife Vilobana. And now this husband is a cruel man and the wife is a loose lady. So she is enjoying company with other men. So therefore the husband became very angry and one day he killed her. So in her next life, she became the dog and the husband became the rabbit. So, okay, what is there to laugh? So he says he was laughing looking at how the laws of material nature work. How the cycle of birth and death is taking place. No, how in the previous life the husband killed the wife, and now in this life the wife is chasing the husband to kill. So then Lord Shiva tells to Parvati, after hearing the glories of the 14th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, King Vikram Vetal also began daily reciting the 14th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. When he gave up that body, he went to Vaikuntha, where he was able to engage eternally in the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu. So this is the Falashruti, the benefit of this particular chapter. So what is the connection between chapter 13 and chapter 14? So the connecting verse is verse number 22 from the previous chapter. So what did this verse say? In this verse, Krishna said, the living entity in material nature thus follows the way of life, enjoying the three modes of material nature. So what is happening that Krishna has explained here? No, that the living entity is following the way of life, enjoying the three modes of material nature. And this is due to his association with that material nature. And because of his association, he meets with good and evil amongst various species. So that's why there is suffering and there is happiness, no? Little bit of distress and little bit of happiness. So chapter 13 describes the conditioned soul as distinct from yet entangled by material nature. How are we distinct? Is because we are spiritual. The jiva, the spirit soul, is spiritual, whereas material nature, of course, is material. But still, the jiva is trapped within his field of activities because of his association with the three modes of material nature. So, since time immemorial, the jiva is trapped within the material body because of the association with the mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. In chapter 14 explains, in chapter 14, Krishna explains what the modes of nature are, how they act, how they bind, and how one is liberated from their influence. So not only does Krishna tell you what is the problem, no, what are the modes of nature, how they act, how they bind. Not only is Krishna presenting the problem, but he also gives you the solution to the problem. How can we be liberated from this particular influence? So Krishna tells us what is the problem, and towards the end of the chapter, he also tells us what is the solution to that problem. In other words, he reveals how the living entity is limited and controlled within his field by the powerful shackles of the three modes of material nature. So goodness, passion, and ignorance. At the end of chapter 14, Krishna informs us how to attain freedom from these modes. So this particular chapter is divided into 5 sections. And it begins with the glorification of that particular chapter, glorification of the knowledge that Krishna is going to give in the chapter. So 14.1. Who can read today?
I
Can
can
I
read.
read, Mataji?
Okay, I don't know who was first.
It's
Divya
okay.
and Radhe Hari.
No, she can read, no problem.
Okay. Okay, let's hear the shloka.
अथ चतुर्दशोऽध्यायः श्रीभगवानुवाच परं भूयः प्रवक्ष्यामि ज्ञानानां ज्ञानमुत्तमम् यज्ञात्वा मुनयः सर्वे परां सिद्धिमितो गताः.
The Supreme Personality of God has said again, I shall declare to you this supreme wisdom, the best of all knowledge, knowing which of the sages have attained the supreme perfection. Hare Krishna.
So as we discussed earlier, this chapter begins by Krishna speaking. He's not waiting for Arjuna to ask any question. And then he says, again, I shall declare to you this supreme wisdom. So Krishna is glorifying what he's going to speak. And he says, again, I shall declare to you this supreme wisdom. Because yes, Krishna has spoken about the modes of material nature in the previous chapter, very briefly, as we just saw. So he says, now I shall declare to you, it is the best of all knowledge. So Srila Prabhupada explains the purport how Krishna is actually now going to speak. No, Krishna is going to speak. Krishna is proclaiming here that he is going to speak the best of all that he has spoken so far. Now, what could be so great about learning about the modes of material nature? So first of all, if we are bound by ropes, no, and we want to free ourselves, we should understand how the ropes are intertwined with each other. So we have to understand the lock mechanism of the lock to be able to open that lock. So because we are bound by the ropes, because we are bound by the modes of material nature, if we have to free ourselves, we have to understand how these modes of material nature are binding us, how they work, no? And towards the end, Krishna declares in the chapter that you can overcome these modes of material nature by engaging in devotional service. So this chapter culminates again by glorifying bhakti. No? So that is why this chapter is so important. And what is the benefit? Krishna is saying that knowing this knowledge, all the sages have attained the supreme perfection. So there is evidence, no, that by applying this knowledge, by knowing this knowledge, in the past also great sages have attained perfection. So we have evidence that yes, this formula has worked in the past. So there is no reason why it should not work now and why it should not work in the future, provided we do our experiment in the correct way. Let's see what Krishna says next.
इदं ज्ञानमुपाश्रित्य मम साधर्म्यमागताः सर्गेऽपि नोपजायन्ते प्रलये न व्यथन्ति च.
By becoming fixed in this knowledge, one can attain to the transcendental nature like my own. Thus established, one is not born at the time of creation or disturbed at the time of dissolution. Hare Krishna.
So Krishna continues to glorify this knowledge. What does he say? By becoming fixed in this knowledge, one can attain to the transcendental nature like my own. So does that mean we become equal to Krishna? One can
No,
attain to transcendental nature like my own.
we
We
get
can
the
become-
same nature as he does because he's transcendental. He has divya nature, so we also attain the same qualities as his. And to go back to Godhead.
So we attain the same
nature as
qualities, yes. But what is it that we cannot attain?
we cannot attain superior.
Quantity, yes, exactly. We can become qualitatively the same as the Lord, but we can never become quantitatively the same as the Lord. So we have seen some few examples in the past classes, how the drop of water from the ocean and the entire ocean, is the same in quality. You will find the same minerals in the drop of water and also in the water that is in the ocean. But quantitatively, there is a vast difference. Of course, that is only a drop and that is the whole ocean. No? So we can become qualitatively the same. Satchit Ananda. What are the qualities of the Lord? The Lord is eternal, full of knowledge and full of bliss. And even the soul is Satchit Ananda. Only that now the soul is covered by this material body. So we are not able to, so our intelligence is covered. So our eternality is covered in the sense that we have to go through the cycle of birth and death. And also, it's not that we are always blissful. No, we go through pain and suffering in this material world. So because of that, we are not able to attain that transcendental nature. But by becoming fixed in this knowledge, Krishna says, one can attain to the transcendental nature like my own. Then what are the other benefits of this knowledge? One is not born at the time of creation, nor is one disturbed at the time of dissolution. So whenever there is creation and destruction, the living entity has nothing to do with it, because the living entity, once one has attained the transcendental nature like Krishna, once you have attained the spiritual realm, then there is no more birth or death. The living entity is in the spiritual realm, and the spiritual realm is never destroyed. No, it is eternal. So one is not disturbed at the time of creation and destruction.
मम योनिर्महद्ब्रह्म तस्मिन् गर्भं दधाम्यहम् सम्भवः सर्वभूतानां ततो भवति भारत.
The total material substance called Brahman is the source of birth, and it is the Brahman that I impregnate, making possible the birth of all living beings, O son of Bharata. Hare Krishna.
So the total material substance called, what is the word Krishna is using here? So we should be very careful with the use of this word in the Gita, because many people get confused, between Brahmana from the Varnashram system, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. So Brahmanas or the Brahman effulgence. And here Krishna is calling the more total material substance as Brahman. So this word is used differently in different places, and we need to understand the meaning. Don't let and not get confused. So he says the total material substance called Brahman is the source of birth. So the source of our birth, Krishna says, is the total material substance. Is that true?
Yes.
Because Krishna is saying, of course it is true. But is there something that happens before we appear in this material world?
Depend on the karmas.
Okay, but what is the source of the living entity?
Lord Brahma.
Okay, before Lord Brahma? Is there anything happening?
Yeah, I think, is it the Shriyodaksha Vishnu or something?
Before Shirodaksha Vishnu?
Mahavishnu glances. The
Mahavishnu.
Mahavishnu glances.
Before Mahavishnu? Where does the buck stop? Who is the original source?
Krishna.
Yes, Krishna, isn't it? So here, Krishna is saying the total material substance called Brahman is the source of birth. And it is that Brahman that I impregnate. So yes, this Brahman is the source of birth, but before that, that Brahman is being impregnated. By whom?
Krishna.
Krishna says by me. No? But even that personality who's impregnating material substance is only an expansion of Krishna. No, Krishna is not personally directly doing it. It is one of his expansions who's doing it. So here actually Krishna is talking about creation. And because of that impregnation, it's the births of all living beings is made possible. Just as how a child is born when the man impregnates a woman. No? So we living entities, we are coming to existence because that Brahman is being impregnated by Krishna. Actually, not even Krishna, by only an expansion of Krishna. So here Krishna is talking about the process of creation. See, Srila Prabhupada gives a very nice example. Into material nature, the superior nature is mixed by the will of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And thereafter, all living entities are born of this material nature. So when Prabhupada explains here, the superior nature is mixed. What does the superior nature refer to?
The Jivatma.
The Jivatma, yes, the living entity, no, each one of us, because we discussed how we are the superior nature, no, the Jiva, the living entity, the soul belongs to the superior nature. So into this material nature, the superior nature is mixed by the will of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And thereafter, all living entities are born of this material nature. So this happens later. This happens later. Thereafter, the living entities are born of this material nature. But this is not the original source of our existence. So what is the example that Srila Prabhupada gives? The scorpion lays its eggs in piles of rice. And sometimes it is said that the scorpion is born out of rice. So you will see, especially in India, how there will be sacks of rice in warehouses. And you will see scorpions coming out of the sacks of rice. Because the scorpion lays its eggs there. The temperature is very ideal for the scorpion to lay its eggs. So I'll read this line again. The scorpion lays its eggs in piles of rice, and sometimes it is said that the scorpion is born out of rice. But the rice is not the cause of the scorpion. Actually, the eggs were laid by the mother. Similarly, material nature is not the cause of the birth of the living entities. The seed is given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and they only seem to come out as products of material nature. So it only appears, it only appears that the scorpions are coming out of the rice. But the rice is not the cause of that scorpion. The cause of that scorpion is the eggs that were laid by the mother. So it appears that we are coming into existence because of material nature. It only appears that way. But actually, it's not that. The seed is given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Mataji, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
So you're saying the expansion of Krishna is the seed giver, and the material nature is our covering of the three modes. Them together creates our body. We come into being just like the scorpion's kids in the rice. We appear to be like that. Is that right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know.
Okay. So for one last time, we will go through the process of creation. We have seen this before, but we will try to understand it a little bit more in detail. So first of all, we are going to, of course, we are going to see the Vedic view, because the modern scientific view of creation is what? How did everything come into existence according to the modern scientific view?
The theory of
What's the
Charles
theory?
Darwin.
What's
Charles
that?
Darwin. Charles Darwin.
No. How did creation take place? Charles Darwin is about evolution of the living
Big Bang?
species.
Is it Big Bang?
The Big Bang?
The Big Bang theory, yes, the Big Bang. No, according to science, everything came into existence because there was an explosion in space. But the scientists are not able to give more details because it's a hypothesis. No. Now we will see the Vedic view of creation. So entire spiritual and material universe is created by Supreme Lord himself. So not only the material world, but even the spiritual, everything is created by the Supreme Lord. So Krishna existed before creation. No? So there was never a time when Krishna did not exist, nor will there ever be a time when Krishna will not exist. So Krishna is eternal. Now Krishna expands himself into innumerable parts and portions, incarnations, jivas, etc. So all the incarnations of the Lord, jivas, living entities, we are all coming from Krishna. Now, there are two aspects to creation, Sarga and Visarga. Sarga is the primary creation and Visarga is the secondary creation. Secondary creation is by Lord Brahma, but primary creation is that of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, yes, Brahma is the creator, but he is the created creator. He has been created to create. It's not that Brahma is eternal. Brahma as the jiva is eternal, but that position, that post is not eternal. So first of all, one may think, okay, what is the need for creation? Why did Krishna have to create? So why the creation had to take place is because we, the living entities, when we were living with Krishna in the spiritual realm, all the jivas are originally here in the spiritual realm. So it so happened that we turned our face away. Can you see this personality here? Can you see this?
Yes.
Yes, Mataji.
Okay. So this person has turned his face away from Krishna. So he is called as Bahirmukhi. Bahirmukhi. He has turned his face away. Now, actually, for him, it's only one moment. No, one moment he turns his face away. But for the material world, it's so many millions and millions of lifetimes. So many millions of lifetimes. Now, because this jiva is Bahirmukhi, no, the others are all Antarmukhi. They are happy, they're enjoying with Krishna. But because there is a Bahirmukhi who turned his face away, so the desire is there in his heart. No? What is it to be independent from Krishna? What is it to be away from Krishna? What is it to be the controller? What is it to be the master? So he has turned his face away. So therefore, there is a need for creation. There is a need for this material world. So this material world is one corner of the spiritual sky, right? One corner of the spiritual sky. So who is the first expansion of Krishna in the material world here? His name is
Brahma. Brahma.
Mahavishnu.
Vishnu.
Mahavishnu. Yes,
Maha-
Mahavishnu. No? So Krishna's first expansion in the material world is Mahavishnu. So let's talk about Sarga. Sarga is the primary creation. So Lord Krishna does not directly create the spiritual or the material universes. He does it through his incarnations. So Krishna's first expansion is, who's this personality?
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
No, he's wearing a blue dhoti.
Balram.
Balaram, yes. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu
Mhm.
dresses in golden because he's Krishna, right? So
Yeah,
Balaram
yeah.
always dresses in blue.
Blue.
So the entire function of creation, maintenance, is carried out by his first and immediate expansion, Lord Balaram. Now, Lord Balaram's energy is the source of the existence of the innumerable spiritual planets, the residential palaces, forests, clothing, paraphernalia, as well as many other amazing things. So everything, all the primary creation, Sarga, is happening because of Balaram. Balaram is Krishna's first expansion. Now from Lord Balaram comes the four quadruple
Vasudev.
expansions. We have already discussed Vasudev, Sankarshan, Aniruddha and Pradyumna. Then from the first quadruple expansion comes Narayan. From Narayan comes the second quadruple expansion. So you have the second Vasudev, second Sankarshan, Anirudh and Pradyumna. Then from the second Sankarshan or Mahasankarshan, we have the three Vishnus. Karanodakashayi Vishnu, Garbhodakashayi Vishnu and Shirodakashayi Vishnu. We have discussed this in detail. So what does Karanodakashayi Vishnu or Mahavishnu do? He is lying in the Karana ocean and he is creating universes by his breathing, right? Now before that, the Lord creates a spiritual universe using his energy in the ratio of 3:1 material energy. So as we discussed, 25% of the spiritual sky is the material world. You can see here, it's like a dark cloud-like substance just below that lotus. The spiritual sky, the spiritual world is compared to the lotus. The petals of the lotus are the Vaikuntha planets. And the middle, the whirl of that lotus is Goloka. Now, just below that lotus is a dark cloud-like substance. That is the material world. So he's creating this in the ratio of 3:1. So what is happening here? No, at the boundary or at the just in between the spiritual and the material realms is the personality called Mahavishnu or Karanodakashayi Vishnu. So at the peripheral of this between the material and spiritual worlds is what is the Karana ocean that is flowing. And it is in this Karana ocean that Mahavishnu is lying, or Karanodakashayi Vishnu is lying. His name is Karanodakashayi Vishnu because he is lying in the Karana ocean. So Mahavishnu expanded from Sankarshan, enters the Karana ocean and lies there. He is also known as Karanodakashayi Vishnu. He is very, very large, huge. We cannot even imagine the size of the body of Karanodakashayi Vishnu. So the prime divine avatar lying in the spiritual causal ocean. So causal ocean is another name for the Karana ocean. Is such a great affair that in the pores of his divine form spring up myriads of seeds of universes. So from his breathing, when he breathes, from every pore of his body, every pore on the skin, there are universes that are coming up. Now, these series of universes are the perverted reflections of the infinite transcendental region. So what do we mean by perverted reflection? This material world is a reflection of the spiritual world. Just as how if you have a tree, this Krishna will explain in detail in the 15th chapter. But just to understand this word here, perverted reflection. The material world is a reflection of the spiritual world. If you have a tree by the side of a river, then you can see the reflection of the tree in the water. So that also appears, it looks like a tree, but it is only a reflection of the real thing. So this material world is only a reflection of the spiritual world. So whatever is there in the spiritual world is there in the material world, because whatever is there in the original tree is there in the reflection. You can see it there. But is it really there? It is not really there. So we think that there is happiness here. But no, the real happiness is in the spiritual world. What is love in the spiritual world becomes lust in the material world. That's why this word perverted, it's not only a reflection, it's a perverted reflection. That reflection of the tree in the river is inverted, it's inverted. So this material world is a perverted reflection of the spiritual world. We'll discuss this more in detail when we do chapter 15.
Mataji,
As long as they remain, what's that?
I have another question on lust. You're saying that this is a perverted reflection of the spiritual world, but whatever is love in the spiritual world, here it's lust. So basically, wherever we see or whatever we do, it's lust. It's through lust that we are doing and seeing.
Yeah, this we are talking about the conditioned souls, not about pure devotees. We should always remember that.
Okay.
Okay. So as long as they remain embedded in his divine form, they embody the principle of spiritual reflection, having the form of golden eggs. So these universes that are coming out of the body of Mahavishnu are egg-shaped, and they are golden colored. That's why these universes are called Brahmand. Brahmand, Anda is oval shaped, egg-shaped. So therefore it's called Brahmand, and they are golden in color. So Mahavishnu is producing innumerable universes, or rather universal shells. So these universes that are coming out of the body of Mahavishnu are only shells. No, it's empty, it's hollow inside. There is no substance, there is nothing inside. No, they are just hollow shells, and they are gigantic in size. So just imagine it's a whole universe. Now what happens? Then they are covered by 5 great elements: earth, water, fire, air, and ether. So these are the 5 gross elements. These universes are created during the exhalation of the Lord. So when Mahavishnu is breathing out from every pore of his skin, this shell is coming out. And then the shell acquires these coverings of earth, water, fire, air, and ether. So they are enveloping the universe. Then what is happening? Now remember, he is in the causal ocean, between the material and the spiritual worlds. They enter the material energy Maya. So now these shells with the coverings are entering into material nature, which is on the other side of the causal ocean, or on the other side of the Viraja river. So you can see here, they are entering into that cloud-like substance. We said material world is a cloud-like dark substance. So here they are entering, and as they enter, they are also growing in size. When they come out of the body of Mahavishnu, they are a particular size. But as they enter into the material world, they grow in size also, these universes. Then what happens? Then Mahavishnu is glancing at material energy. So this is how the Lord impregnates. Krishna says that he impregnates. He uses the word impregnates in that verse that we just read. So how is he impregnating? By his glance. So Mahavishnu then glances at the material energy. Up to this point, material energy is inert or inanimate. So it is called as, what is material energy called at this time?
Pradhan.
Pradhana, isn't it? Pradhana. Once it is in the inactivated state. Just as, what is the example we gave? Just as how when you get a chip for your phone, it is in the inactivated state. We need to activate the chip in order to actually make the phone calls. So right now it is in the Pradhana stage. During the Pradhana stage, all the elements are inert, undifferentiated, and unmanifest. So they are all dormant. They are all dormant. Totally, there are how many elements? How many elements make up material energy? Anybody remembers?
24.
24. Yes, very nice.
Yeah.
24. Right now, there are how many?
5.
5. Yes, 5. Very nice. So see, he's glancing. So Mahavishnu is glancing. In that glance, what is being transferred to the material world? All the living entities along with their karmic balance. So we are all carrying on from where we left off. Just because at the time of destruction we entered into the body of Mahavishnu does not mean that whatever we did, everything the goods and bad deeds, everything is written off. No, it's not written off even though we are inside the body of Mahavishnu. We are going to come out of his body along with our karmic balance. So the jivas, along with their karmic balance, are being transferred into the material nature. And that glance of Mahavishnu takes the form of Shambhu. Then Lord Shambhu, he is uniting with material energy. And through the womb of material energy, Durga Devi, we are appearing. We are taking birth. So that's the reason why Lord Shiva and Parvati are called as the mother and father of the universe. Have you heard that before? That they are the mother and father of the universe?
Yes.
Yes, no. So this is the reason why. So yes,
Can I
Lord
ask?
Shiva and Parvati are the mother and father of the universe. But this is after the fact that we are in the body of Mahavishnu. And that also, even being in the body of Mahavishnu, comes later, before we are coming from Krishna.
Can I ask a question, please?
Yes.
As you said that Brahma is our father, then how come this one, Shambhu and Parvati are parents?
Yeah, so what Brahma does is, Brahma is giving us the bodies. So there are 8,400,000 different kinds of bodies, right? This is
Yes.
only the Jiva, only the spirit soul. But the bodies are created by Brahma.
Okay.
Hmm?
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So the personality Shambhu, Lord Shiva, assists the Lord by transferring the jivas into the material energy. The Lord does not touch the material nature. He does so via Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva's abode is on the edge of the Viraja river. So here you can see how Lord Shiva, because he comes in touch with material nature, that is the difference between Shiva Tattva and Vishnu Tattva. Vishnu Tattva, they never touch material energy. They never touch. But Lord Shiva touches material energy, and therefore he is Shiva Tattva. But he is not completely even Jiva Tattva. Jiva Tattva, the first entity of Jiva Tattva is Lord Brahma. We will see about Lord Brahma in the upcoming slides. So we have Vishnu Tattva, then we have Shiva Tattva, and we have Jiva Tattva. The difference between Vishnu or Krishna and Shiva is simply this. Lord Shiva comes in touch with material nature. Vishnu Tattva, Lord Krishna, they do not ever touch material nature. So at this point, all the golden universes are covered up by the 5 elements and they are all clustered together. At the same time, there are 18 other inanimate elements waiting to act. So we said that there are 24 elements, 5 are the coverings and 18 more elements are there, but they are not yet activated. They are waiting to act at this particular point. Nothing moves until the original controlling deity of each of the elements in each universe prays to Lord Mahavishnu for help in creation. So then he impregnates time into material energy. So now Mahavishnu impregnates time into material energy. With the impregnation of time, material energy becomes Prakriti and then transforms to Mahatattva. So Pradhana becomes Prakriti. Pradhana is becoming activated as Prakriti when time is impregnated by Mahavishnu into material energy. And then that Prakriti transforms into Mahatattva. When the whole thing starts rolling, then it is called as Mahatattva. So these 3 stages are compared to a woman, right? A woman is in the Pradhana stage before she has any children. Then she is made pregnant. So that is called Prakriti stage. And when the woman delivers, then that is called as the Mahatattva stage. So difference between Pradhana and Mahatattva. Pradhana impregnated with the Lord's potent energy becomes known as Mahatattva. Mahavishnu's glance consists of time, the living entities and their karma. So in that glance, initially it's the living entities and with their karma, and then comes time. So these are the 3 things that are there in the glance of Mahavishnu. The material elements are all combined together by the influence of time and again are dissolved in the course of time. So when destruction takes place, all these material elements are again dissolved and they all go back again into the body of Mahavishnu. Time, therefore, is the energy of the Lord and acts in her own way by the direction of the Lord. So time is acting under the direction of the Lord. This energy is called Kali and is represented by the dark, destructive goddess, generally worshipped by persons influenced by the mode of darkness or ignorance in material existence. So everything is within the limits of time, but time moves under the direction of the Lord, who is therefore not within time's limit. So we have to understand that even time is moving under the direction of Krishna. So here you have another picture. You can see here Mahavishnu is glancing. Then that glance is taking the form of Shambhu. And then the jivas, along with their karma and time, are being transferred into material nature. So the fortress of this material world is Durga Devi. She is the fortress. So now what is happening? Mahavishnu has glanced, and now into each universe, Mahavishnu expands and enters as Garbhodakashai Vishnu. Now there are so many universes. Now into each universe, there is a Garbhodakashai Vishnu. So as many universes are there, that many Garbhodakashai Vishnus are there. So every universe has its Garbhodakashai Vishnu. Now this is our universe. Okay. There are millions of universes. And our universe is the smallest of all the universes where we are currently situated. No? So our universe has 14 planetary systems. There are other universes which are bigger and much bigger, several times, several million times bigger also. And they may have different planetary systems. What is described in the Bhagavatam is our universe. Okay, so all the description that is given in the Bhagavatam is about our universe. So our universe has these 14 planetary systems. So right on top of the universe here, no, is the highest planetary system, which is Satya Loka or Brahma Loka. That is the abode of Lord Brahma. Now, how did Lord Brahma come? How did Lord Brahma come?
From
He came out.
The navel of Vishnu.
navel of Lord Vishnu.
Yes, which Vishnu? Which Vishnu is this?
Mahavishnu.
Garbhodaya.
Ma- Garbhodakaya.
Garbhodakshai.
Yes, Garbhodakashai Vishnu. No, so remember now
Right.
we are within one particular universe. All those different universes, all those golden shells, we have already crossed. All right. Now we are focusing on one particular universe. Now within this universe, Garbhodakashai Vishnu is entering. Now remember, this is a hollow. I'm sorry. This is there is nothing inside the universe. So what he does is he first fills half the universe with water. That water is coming from his own sweat, from the sweat of his own body. He half fills the universe with the Garbhodaka ocean. Then he lies on the Garbhodaka ocean on top of Ananta Shesha. You can see here, he's lying here. And who is there at his lotus feet?
Goddess Lakshmi.
Goddess Lakshmi, isn't it? So one may question, sometimes people ask, why is it that she's depicted at the feet? It's so some feminists, sometimes they have a problem with this. So we have to understand that her residence actually is in his heart. She resides in his heart, but she, out of her own will, no, she wants. So because she wants it, she comes out and she is serving the lotus feet of the Lord. It's not that the Lord is keeping her there. Her residence is actually in his heart, but she wants to. So therefore, she is here at his feet. Okay, now, so this is our universe. So the inner circle, no, our universe internally is 4 billion miles in diameter. 4 billion miles in diameter. And you can see that it has the coverings of earth, water, fire, air, and ether. Now, each covering is 10 times more thicker than the previous covering. So you can see here, earth is 80 million miles. So water covering is 80 million times into 10. And that the next covering is 80 million times into 10 into 10. So like this, every covering is 10 times thicker than the previous covering. And the inner diameter of the universe is 4 billion miles. And this is the smallest of all the universes. So Garbhodakashai Vishnu, lying on Ananta Shesha, half fills the universe with the water born of his own perspiration, Garbhodaka ocean. With him, he brings the jivas into the golden universe. So he is bringing the jivas into that golden universe. So Mahavishnu has transferred them into material energy. Now in that material energy, there are various universes. So Garbhodakashai Vishnu is bringing the jivas into that particular universe. Now, from his navel sprouts a golden lotus. The firstborn, Brahma, is brought into this universe. So, Brahma is the firstborn. He is the first living entity. So, he's so Brahma is coming from that lotus, which is coming from the navel of Garbhodakashai Vishnu. The lotus is said to be the reservoir of all the living entities within this universe. So, all those 14 planetary systems are actually in the stem of that lotus. See here. Now what happens? Lord Brahma has appeared. When Lord Brahma appeared from the lotus, he was bewildered at first. He ventured around and he became afraid. He heard a voice instructing him to perform tapasya. So Lord Brahma has just appeared on this lotus, and all that he sees is darkness. He doesn't know what he is supposed to do, who is he, what is his, what is going on, no? He has no idea what is going on, but he can hear a voice. In that voice, he hears two syllables. Those two syllables are ta and pa. So he is just hearing the word tapa, tapa. No, he can only hear, he cannot see anything, it's all dark. So he only hears that word tapa. So he understands that he has to perform tapasya. So he heard a voice instructing him to perform tapasya. So he performs tapasya for 1000 celestial years. 1000 celestial years or 1000 demigod years. Now the Lord reveals himself in Brahma's heart. So after he did tapasya for 1000 celestial years, then the Lord reveals himself in the heart of Lord Brahma, and he is initiated with the Gayatri mantra. So what Lord Brahma hears after doing that tapasya is the Gayatri mantra, which is going into the ears of Lord Brahma via the sound vibration of Krishna's flute, and then that comes out of Brahma's mouth as the Gayatri mantra. What happens next? Let's read here. In the beginning of creation, when Lord Brahma appeared on a lotus flower born from the navel of Lord Vishnu, he was perplexed as to the source of the lotus flower and of his own existence. Brahma also required direction how to proceed with his creative work, that is, the engineering and construction of the entire universe. All he could see was a lotus flower upon which he was seated and endless darkness. At that time, hearing the syllables tapa, tapa, being vibrated from an unknown source, he executed devotional penances for a long time. At the end of 1000 celestial years, the Lord, being very much satisfied by Brahma's penance, manifested before him along with his spiritual abode and instructed him the essence of Bhagavatam in 4 verses. No? So after this, after the initiation, see this thing, when this thing happened, when that is the initiation of Lord Brahma, no, that is the initiation of Lord Brahma into the with the Gayatri mantra. And then now Lord Brahma asks some questions. Then the Lord manifests. So Lord Brahma is able to see first the Vaikuntha planets, and then he is able to see the Goloka planets, just like we can see a movie in a theater on a screen, no? Like that, Lord Brahma, from where he was seated, he was shown the vision of Vaikuntha, and he was also shown the vision of Goloka later. So this is what it means here. At the end of 1000 celestial years, the Lord, being very much satisfied by Brahma's penance, manifested before him along with his spiritual abode. So the Lord has manifested before him along with his abode. So first, the description given in the Bhagavatam is first he sees the Vaikuntha planets and then he sees Goloka. So graphic description of this episode of Brahma's perplexity, penance, and finally seeing the Supreme Lord are found in the second canto, chapter 9. So if you want to read this in detail, you go to your Srimad Bhagavatam on your Veda base, canto 2, chapter 9. You can read in detail. The questions Lord Brahma put to the Lord upon seeing him are answered by the Lord in the Chatushloki, or 4 essential verses. So that time, when the spiritual realm is manifested before Brahma, and he can also see the Lord, he asks him 4 questions. Okay, and in reply to those four questions, Krishna speaks what is called as a Chatushloki Bhagavatam. What is the Chatushloki Bhagavatam? Chatushloki Bhagavatam means it is the 4 essential or nutshell verses of the whole Srimad Bhagavatam. The entire Bhagavatam. So there are 18,000 verses in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Everything is summarized and combined, and the essence is put in these 4 verses. What are these 4 verses? Are these, no? Verses 33 to 36 of chapter 9 of canto 2 of the Srimad Bhagavatam. If you want to read this, you can go and read it here on your Veda base. Okay, so these are the 4 essential nutshell verses of the Srimad Bhagavatam. As in the Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna has summarized the whole text in 4 verses, in chapter 10, verses 8 to 11. So we have also seen the 4 nutshell verses of the Bhagavad Gita in chapter 10. Similarly, there are 4 nutshell verses of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So the complete Srimad Bhagavatam has also been summarized in these 4 verses. Brahma instructed them to Narada. So now what happens? Brahma later, he gives this instruction to Narada and requested him to expand them further. Later on, Narada gave the same instruction to his disciple Vyasadeva, who then expanded the entire Srimad Bhagavatam. So this description is given in Canto 1, chapters 5, 6, and 7. And it was later recited by Sukadeva Goswami to Maharaj Parikshit. So the questions asked by Brahmaji were as follows. So these are not the exact verses, but in essence, these are the questions that Brahma asked. What are the forms of the Lord, both in matter and in transcendence? How are the different energies of the Lord working? How does the Lord play with his different energies? And how can Brahma be instructed? So he's asking him, how can I? No. So what is your instruction for me? How may Brahma be instructed to discharge the duty entrusted to him without being conditioned by such activities? So Brahma says that I don't want to fall into Maya. No. So how can I discharge my duties without being puffed up, without being proud of my activities? So the answers to these 4 questions, it forms the nucleus of the Srimad Bhagavatam. The Lord informs Brahma that this knowledge is very subtle and can be understood only by the grace of the Lord achieved through the process of devotional service. So the only way we can understand, Krishna says, is by Krishna's grace. And how can we get Krishna's grace? By engaging in devotional service. And devotional service begins with Shravanam and Kirtanam. That's why we insist so much hearing and chanting. So that's why we insist so much on chanting the holy name. So crucial, so important. Okay, thereafter what happens? Thereafter, Brahma started the creation of many other elements, as well as the upper, middle, and lower planetary system and the living entities' bodies. So Brahma has given us the body. Brahma has given us the body. And he also creates these for these planetary systems, not 14, because already Brahma Loka, I'm sorry. Yeah, the 14 planetary systems begins with Brahma Loka. And then you have the Swarga Loka and all these different planetary systems. Let's see here. Here you can see the 14 planetary systems. So it starts with Satya Loka, Tapo Loka, Jana Loka, Mahar Loka, then comes Swarga Loka, heavenly planets. Then we have Bhuvar Loka, and we have Bhuloka, earthly planets. This is where we are situated. And then we have the lower planetary systems, Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Talatala, Mahatala, Rasatala, and Patala. So these planetary systems within the universes are created by Brahma, and he's creating the bodies. Then he created his mental sons, mind-born. Mental sons mean not mentally unstable, but mind-born sons. No, he creates the mind-born sons and tells them to populate the universe. So first he creates whom? First,
No.
mind-born sons of Brahma are the
4 Kumaras.
4 Kumaras. Yes, very nice. So did the 4 Kumaras populate the universe?
No, they became renunciate.
Exactly. They become renunciates. They did not want to populate. They did not want to have children. So then he created Rudra. Did Rudra populate the universe?
Yes, he did, but he did the demons.
Yes. No. So his offsprings went on widespread destruction. So Lord Brahma told him to go and
Brahma told him to go and chant Ram's name and do meditation.
yes, exactly. So then he created the next set of mind-born sons. They were Marichi, Atri, Angira, Pulatsya, Pulaha, Kratu, Brigu, Vashishta, Daksha, and the 10th son, Narada. Then there was Kardama Muni. Kardama Muni got married to Kardama Muni got married to Devahuti. Okay. So like that, anyway, then there was another mind-born son, and then finally there was Manu and Shatarupa. So the word man or Manushya comes from the word Manu. So it was Manu actually who populated the universe the way Brahma wanted to eventually. So Manu and Shatarupa. So you can see this in great detail in, if you go to third canto, 12th chapter, you can see the details of all these mind-born sons of Brahma. So here you have a chart, the family tree. So this is something that you'll have to read with a lot of time, and you can see how from Krishna's first Jiva Tattva is Lord Brahma. No, from Lord Brahma you can see here his mind-born sons, and then you can see here Swayambhuva Manu. Manu got married to Shatarupa, and then from Shatarupa you have other offsprings coming here. From Marichi you have Diti. From Marichi you have Kashyapa. Kashyapa married Diti and Aditi, and he had other wives. From Diti came the first demon, no, Hiranyaksh. So from the marriage of Kashyapa and Diti came the first demon, Hiranyaksh, and then his brother Hiranyakashipu. And then the children of Aditi were the Devatas, Vivaswan, starting from Vivaswan. So like that, you can see this family tree of Srimad Bhagavatam when I share it in the group. Okay, so then what happens to Lord Brahma? Lord Brahma lives for 311 trillion and 40 billion years, our years. His years, 100 years. No, at the end of his entire life, this creation and the entire creation of all the universes are destroyed by the Rudras. So we know Lord Shiva is the destroyer. This is called total annihilation. So there is a partial destruction at the end of Brahma's day. Every Brahma's night, there is a partial destruction. And at the end of Brahma's lifetime, there is complete, total destruction. So when total destruction takes place, all universes then are all absorbed back into Mahavishnu until the Lord decides to start the creation again. So when Mahavishnu breathes in, all the universes are going back inside his body along with all the jivas, along with the karma of each jiva. And when he breathes out again, the whole thing starts rolling again. So this is creation. Let's go to 4.
सर्वयोनिषु कौन्तेय मूर्तयः सम्भवन्ति याः तासां ब्रह्ममहद्योनिर् अहं बीजप्रदः पिता.
It should be understood that all species of life, O son of Kunti, are made possible by birth in this material nature, and that I am the seed-giving Father. Hare Krishna.
So Krishna is saying that one has to understand that all species of life are made possible by birth in this material world because of him. Krishna is stating that he is the seed-giving Father. Krishna says, Aham bija pradaha pita. Bija means seed. That seed, pradaha, that seed is given by Krishna. So he is the seed-giving Father of all that exists, Spiritual world, material world, jivas, whatever, anything that exists, Krishna is the seed-giving Father. Nothing can exist without Krishna. Okay, so he is the Father of all the living entities. And not only is a Father, he is a loving Father. The purport is that the material world is impregnated with living entities who come out in various forms at the time of creation according to their past deeds. The placement of the souls under the control of material nature after they are impregnated into matter is next described. So how the souls are going to be placed, who is going to take birth where, what decides those factors, why somebody is born rich, why somebody is born blind, why somebody is born healthy, why somebody is born struggling, no, where you don't even get, why somebody is killed immediately after that. Sometimes their own parents kill their children. So the placement of the soul, so how the souls are placed, what is going to be described next. How the modes bind the pure soul. Let us see.
सत्त्वं रजस्तम इति गुणाः प्रकृतिसम्भवाः निबध्नन्ति महाबाहो देहे देहिनमव्ययम्.
Material nature consists of three modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance. When the internal living entity comes in contact with nature, O mighty armed Arjun, he becomes conditioned by three modes. Hare Krishna.
So Krishna is saying material nature consists of three modes. What are they? Goodness, passion, and ignorance. So what happens when the living entity comes in contact with nature, then he becomes conditioned, becomes controlled by the three modes. So actually the living entity is spiritual. No, the jiva is completely spiritual. He has nothing to do with material nature. But because he is coming in contact with nature, therefore he is becoming conditioned or controlled by these gunas: sattva guna, rajoguna, and tamoguna, mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. See, the conditioned living entity is satisfied in his own particular species of life. While deluded by the covering influence of the illusory energy, he feels little inclined to cast off his body, even when in hell, for he takes delight in hellish enjoyment. So these modes, they condition the living entity such that the living entity, the jiva, forgets that he belongs to the superior nature of Krishna. He forgets his relationship with Krishna. So he's so deluded, he's so much under illusion that he does not want to cast off his body. He's thinking that I'm fine the way I am. I am happy where I am. This material world or this world is so wonderful. It's so nice. Why? So they don't even realize, no, they are conditioned by these modes for so many years that they do not feel inclined. They do not want to give off this body. That's why the living entity does not want to die. They don't want to cast off this body, even when in hell, for he takes delight in hellish enjoyment. So, for example, now there is this history of Lord Indra's fall from heaven. No, Lord Indra was cursed by his spiritual master Brihaspati because he misbehaved. And he said that you become a hog. So Lord Indra, imagine he is the king of heaven, and now he was living like a hog. I mean, he was living in the body of a hog, and in the body of the hog, he is eating stool, where he is enjoying heavenly delights in heaven. No, the all first class things to eat and drink he had, and here he was enjoying stool. He's eating stool in the body of that hog. Then after many days, it was now the curse period had finished, no? And Lord Brahma said that, okay, your curse period has finished. Let's go back. You have to go back and take charge as the king of heaven. And that time, Indra in the body of the pig says, no, I don't want to go anywhere. I'm very happy in this pig body. I'm very happy with my pig wife. I'm very happy with my piglets. I don't want to go anywhere. I'm very happy. So imagine even Indra in the body of that pig, he does not want to leave that pig body. So this is what it means here. While deluded by the covering influence of the illusory energy, he feels little inclined to cast off his body. So this happened even to Indra. After many days, when Brahma wanted to recall him to his heavenly kingdom, Indra, in the form of a hog, forgot everything of his royal position in the heavenly kingdom, and he refused to go back. So powerful is the binding of the modes of material nature. So who is to blame? Who is to blame? It is only we have to blame ourselves, no? Because this whole creation and this whole different bodies that are existing is because we became bahirmukhi. We turned our face away from Krishna. No, it's like the criminal is in jail because of his own activity. He cannot blame the government. He cannot blame the judge for passing the judgment and sending him to jail, to prison house for 20, 30 years or whatever it is. No, he can only blame himself. So like that, we cannot blame the Lord. Just as how the criminal cannot blame the judge for passing the judgment, the jiva cannot blame the Lord for his being in this material world. So it all begins because the super soul desires. No, so the super soul desires. I'm sorry, not the soul. I'm sorry, the soul desires. And because the super soul is in the heart of every living entity, even though we may not speak it, the super soul knows exactly what we are thinking. So the soul desires, the super soul sanctions, and the material nature fulfills the desire of the soul. So material nature is giving the kind of the body that according to the desire of the soul. So if the living entity has a desire to enjoy meat, is very fond of meat eating, then he will get the body that is suitable where he can enjoy meat eating. He will get the body of a tiger, lion, of a carnivorous animal. There is no need for a human body to enjoy meat eating. If somebody is very much attached to sexual desire, then he will be given the body of a dog. Okay, enjoy. For that, you don't even have to have a nice apartment. You don't need a room. You don't have to rent a room in a five-star hotel. You can enjoy your sexual activities in the body of a dog, even on the road. Why do you need a human body for that? No. So material nature is fulfilling the desire of the soul after after it being sanctioned by the super soul. In life's multiple choice exam, select an alternative based on what it says, not where it stays. So when we give an exam and we have a multiple choice question, do we tick mark only the first option? No, right? We analyze all the options and we choose the correct option. In the same way in our lives, no, the first option is always what the mind tells us. And the mind is always going to tell us that which is not good for our spirituality. I don't want to get up early. I don't want to chant my rounds. I don't want to follow the four religious principles. I want to enjoy. I don't want any restrictions. All these things are the first things that will come to our mind, because mind will always tell us that which is not good for our spirituality. The mind is always going to tempt us. But then we have to analyze the other options as well. Follow the religious principles, chant the rounds, do my sadhana, get up early. So many are take care of do my prescribed duties. So like that, we have to analyze all the options. Don't take the first option. Don't take the first thing that comes to your mind impulsively. Analyze all the options and choose the right thing to do. That is intelligence. Okay, we will stop here. We'll continue in the next class if Krishna so sanctions. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai.
Mataji, can I ask you a question about the fault? You said that who's to fault your own self, not God. So that means whatever karma, vikarma, akarma that we do, we are at fault. And even though we are put here through the will of God, because we want to enjoy our senses and the material body, like Indra, you gave example how he didn't want to return after his curse was over. So does that mean that it is only our desire? And if we then others like are finding fault that this happened because of you, that happened, it's not like that. It's just like our own karma is at fault for vikarma.
Yes, exactly. We have no one else to blame but ourselves. Because whatever sinful activities we have done is because of our minute independence. And we may commit sinful activities unknowingly also. But even there we have to blame only ourselves. Like when we walk on the road, we may step on so many living entities, we may step on ants and kill them. So this is unknowingly done. As we speak, as we breathe, when we boil water, when we cook, we are also killing living entities. So these are sinful activities that we are doing unknowingly, but even then we have no one to blame but ourselves for that, because those sins that are done unknowingly also can be counteracted by chanting the holy name. So the sins that we do unknowingly, we can counteract by chanting the holy name. And if we are not chanting the holy name, then who is responsible for those activities that we commit unknowingly? It is only ourselves. So we have nobody else to blame but ourselves.
Don't you need a sanction to chant Hari name also? Because there are few people that they cannot even chant. Don't you need sanction even to chant the Hari name?
Yeah, the Lord will sanction when we desire. If we don't desire, what is the Lord going to sanction? He's not going to force us to chant. He's not going to keep a gun on our head and say, chant the holy name, because that's not love. If a boy places the gun on the head of a girl and says, say you love me, and she may say, okay, I love you, but it is out of fear. That's not love. So the relationship between God and us is based on love. He's not going to force us. We should desire it. If we don't desire, how will he sanction it?
When you use the word desire, you mean like pray, that pray, can you make us chant properly? Can you make us finish our 16 rounds properly? You mean when you say desire, that means like pray to God That's keeping
Yeah, desire means first thing I should want to do it, right? I should want to do it. When I want to do it, only I will pray to the Lord. No, that please help me to chant my rounds. Please help me overcome such and such an obstacle. So first is we desire it, then only we will pray for it. If we do not desire, we will not even pray for that particular benediction. So it all begins with desire.
Then how do you conquer sleep? Like you're desiring, you're doing your Harinam and you're just falling asleep. You wake up at 3 a.m. and then you just fall asleep afterwards and not doing your Harinam. God's tensions makes you wake up, makes you chant. Then Maya comes and puts you to sleep again.
So that's the reason why you need to learn to control the mind. Krishna says you can control the mind by practice and detachment. Practice, 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 practice.
How do you detach from sleep? That's Maya, no?
Sleep is a characteristic of a person who's in the mode of ignorance.
Yeah.
A person in the mode of ignorance loves to sleep. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that we have to regulate our eating and sleeping habits. Sleep on time, then you will get up on time.
So it's not Maya that's making us sleep.
It is Maya that is making us sleep, but that is because we are weak now. We are accepting defeat at the hands of Maya. Remember that you are superior. You belong to Krishna's superior energy. You can defeat Maya. But if you have to be mentally strong and determined for that, don't be weak. It's the more we advance in our spiritual life, the more strongly Maya is going to fight us. It's
So
a constant battle. It's a constant battle. So you have to defeat Maya and not allow her to defeat you.
So it's not Maya's fault. It's our fault that we go to
It is
sleep.
our fault. It's not Maya's fault. Maya is doing her service to perfection. See, she is allotted the service. No, Durga Devi that's a service that is allotted to her to test the determination of the living entities. So she does her service to perfection. You do your service to perfection.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. So
So
everything
sleep early.
through our karma. I mean, Maya has effect on us, but we have to come over those Maya things. Like,
Yes, of course. We cannot blame Maya. We have to blame only ourselves.
so what do we do not to sleep? Like we forcefully wake up, keep ourselves awake.
Ah,
You sleep on time. If you sleep on time, you will wake up on time. If you sleep late, then how will you get up early? You need to make a timetable. From such a time to such a time, I do this. So divide your time, your 24 hours. You have to fulfill your prescribed duties, of course. Your duties towards your family members, whatever are your prescribed duties, you do that. So you have to divide your time appropriately. From so and so time to so and so time, I will do this. From so and so time to so and so time, I will do this. So you divide your time, create your schedule, sleep. You have to get proper sleep. Sleeping too little is not good for us, and sleeping too much also is not good for us. So sleep on time, get your proper sleep, and then you'll be able to wake up.
So Maya has nothing to do with us. It's just our free will overall.
Yes. Maya has everything to do with us, but because she is going to fight you, right? She is going to battle with you. But if we are defeated, it's not her fault. It's just that she did her service better than you did your service.
Okay, so whenever she comes to us, we just have to force ourselves to say no.
Exactly, yes. You have to be stronger than her.
But then we have eyes disease. Like if we wake up early in the morning at around 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock and we start doing our japa and our eyes get so heavy and sleepy and drowsy, and if we don't sleep, our eyes starts itching and hurting. Then
That's
what?
because you have to sleep minimum 6 hours. Prabhupada says 6 hours. For a non, of course, there are people who have, say, Bhaktivinoda Thakur would only sleep for 2 hours. Okay, Bhaktivinoda Thakur slept only for 2 hours, and everything else even Haridas Thakur would sleep only for two hours or even less than 2 hours. But they are at that level, they are at that stage. If you feel that you are getting up early and your eyes are hurting, it's because you need more sleep. So you need to sleep 6 hours at this stage. Are you sleeping on time? What time
Yeah.
do you go to bed?
At night when I sleep, my eyes it hurts. When I wake up, then it hurts. It
No, but
becomes
what time you go to bed?
maybe around 9 or 10 o'clock. I woke up today at 3 o'clock. No, I woke up today at 2:45, took a shower at 3, and then
2:45. You don't have to get up at 2:45 and 3. If you're sleeping at 10, then you sleep for 10. You get sleep at 10 and get up at 4.
okay.
2:45, 3. No need to wake up at 2:45, 3. Unless you are a Bhagawad.
No, no. Okay.
So if you're sleeping at 10, you get up at 4.
Yes, yes. Yes.
Yeah, if you get up at 4, very easily you can do your 16 rounds before sunrise.
Yes, Mataji.
Okay. What else? So we have a baby who's joining us for the first time with Divya. Hare Krishna, Vrinda Gopika Mataji. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Koti Koti Dandvat Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada. Mataji,
Right.
with your permission, can I add small things?
Yes, Mataji, please.
Mataji, I have seen my counselor, Dr. Adhikadadar Prabhu. He is working 12 hours a day, Mataji, but still every day 5 o'clock he is there. Even he is working night shift. He came, he do his japa 5 to 6:30, maybe 12, 11 or 12 japa, and then he is taking class. Not only morning class, Mataji, he is taking evening class also. She Chaitanya Bhagavatam and after Bhakti Sastri, that is a Bhakti Vaibhav, 2 days and 1 day is Bhagavad Gita. But yes, Mataji, he said that we have to go bed at 9 o'clock so that we can get up 4:45 and we can sit after bath for japa. Please forgive me. This is for me, Mataji. I am not saying anything to anybody. But association of Vaishnava is very important. जब हम सब वैष्णव के साथ में जपा करते, अरे ये आ गए, ये आ गए, ये आ गए, मैं लेट हो गई 10 मिनट, सो नेक्स्ट डे वी विल कम 5 o'clock. तो टारगेट रखना है कि मैं 5 to 6:30 या 5 to 6:15 आई विल डू माई जपा. ऐसे मैंने भी माता जी कार्तिक मंथ में गेट अप अर्ली इन द मॉर्निंग 2:30 3 o'clock, बट वो 2-3 दिन ही चलता है, फिर नहीं चलता है. सो प्रैक्टिकल इज whatever our body at the age of 57, my body is supporting that I cannot get up 4:30 or 4 o'clock. So I start 4:45 and get up 4:45 and 5 o'clock I sit for. But association of Vaishnava is very important, Mataji. When we hear Krishna Katha regularly, even we are doing japa with the senior Vaishnava and all Vaishnava, nobody is senior and junior in Bhakti. तो माताजी एक वो वाइब्रेशन आते हैं और एक शक्ति आती है कि हम भी कर पाएंगे दूसरे वैष्णव को देख के. एंड व्हेन वी हियर कृष्ण कथा बिफोर गोइंग बेड, माताजी, तो ऑटोमेटिकली इट्स इफेक्ट टू अवर जपा, तो हमारा जपा अच्छा होता है. पर कभी हम शादी में जाके आए या फिर कहीं जाके आए तो नहीं उठ पाए तो गए माताजी, फिर वो दिन का जपा पहले 8-10 जपा अच्छे होता है, बाकी के 6 मटेरियल होता है. सो पंक्चुअलिटी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है कि नहीं मुझे 5 o'clock उठना ही है, फॉर दैट आई हैव टू गो 9 o'clock. तो 9:30 तक हम सो जाएंगे श्रील प्रभुपाद की वाणी सुनते सुनते, तो ही माता जी अच्छी तरह जपा कर पाएंगे, नहीं तो सुबह में नींद आएगी. कोटि कोटि दंडवत प्रणाम. इफ आई मेड एनी मिस्टेक प्लीज फॉरगिव मी. जय श्रील प्रभुपाद.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you very much. So there you have some golden words of wisdom also. Shri Radhe Hari Mataji.
Thank you very much, Mataji. It was very helpful. Thank you so much. Hari Bol.
थैंक यू माताजी. दिस इज फॉर मी माताजी. मैं किसी के लिए नहीं बता रही हूँ कि वैष्णव के साथ रहने से जपा बहुत अच्छा होता है और पंचुअलिटी से जपा अच्छा होता है. ये चतुर्मास में जहाँ हमें फास्टिंग करना है, पानी के बिना निर्जला, ये व्रत लेने से अच्छा है कि ये चतुर्मास में मैं सुबह में वैष्णव के साथ जपा करूंगी. और प्रैक्टिकली 4 बजे 3 बजे तो मैं नहीं उठ पाती, बट I take a vow that at least I will get up 5 o'clock and sit with the Vaishnava. That is for me, Mataji. Koti Koti Dandavat Pranam. Hare Krishna.
Right. Thank you, Mataji. Okay, anything else we need to discuss?
माताजी, आज यहाँ पे 56 भोगा है. कल संडे ईच एंड एवरी वैष्णव प्रिपेयर 56 भोगा. Pray for us
Wow.
that we will prepare छप्पन भोगा. Preparing
Jai.
from last 3 days. भगवान को
Jai.
तो खिचड़ी भी प्यारी है. जो हो सके हमसे हम वो सेवा कर पाए. और वैष्णव आर preparing छप्पन भोगा for Shri Shri Jagannath.
Wow. Jai Mataji. So nectarian. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Can I ask you something?
Yes, Shivani.
You had said you had given some cantos to read, like Canto 2, Chapter 10, and then I think it was Canto 1, Chapter 5 and 6. So which verse? All the verses we should read?
Yeah, the whole chapter is dedicated to that particular subject matter. For example, that
Okay.
second canto chapter is dedicated to
10.
how, I mean, there it's explained how Lord Brahma appeared and then he asked questions and how Krishna replied and what are the Chatushloki Bhagavatam. You can read
Okay.
that.
So for Canto 3, was it Chapter 10 I wrote or something else? I'm not sure.
I will share the slides now and you can check it out.
Okay.
I don't know by memory.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you so much. Also, Mataji, Chaturmas has started. Can you share in the group what we have to eat and not eat and the time frame for
Okay,
that?
I'll do that. I'll do that.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Dhanavadams.
All right. Anything else? Okay, then see you all next week if Krishna so sanctions. Till then, have a nice week in Krishna consciousness. Vancha kalpataru vyascha kripa sindhu vyayavacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavad Gita
Jai.
ki jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna
Pranams, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Mataji ki jai, koti koti dandavat
Hare
pranam
Krishna.
Mataji. Hare Krishna.